Alright there, geezers, Jules here from FGS, home of the Future Game Show, and I want you to think about something. NES Hard. Not to be confused with NES Quick, but equally tasty, assuming that is that you're willing to slurp up some personal pain and frustration. Now, NES difficulty is what gaming old heads like myself use as a measuring stick for a game's difficulty. Duh. Originating from the often insane challenges that some games from Nintendo's original grey unit would dole out to players. Endlessly respawning enemies, leaps of faith, enemies with health pools so big that you could bloody swim in them. All of this and so much more bullshit awaits you in these games that fly the banner of NES Hard, which thankfully is a difficulty level that is lessened and lessened over the years as gaming has become more accessible. But that's not to say that it's gone forever, as the games that we're going to be talking about today are so bloody hard they could beat up your dad and his dad as well for good measure. Actually, that's a bit mean because he's quite old. So let's have a chat about new games that go utterly old school when it comes to their often brutal gameplay. As I'm Jules, this is FGS, and these are 8 new games with old school difficulty. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering why I'm here in such a lavish set, it's because I am here at the FGS HQ, and we have filmed something very, very special indeed. Check out your subscription feeds for some brand new flavoursome content that is coming your way. It's a quiz. It's a very funny quiz. It includes some guests, not from this channel. Oh, and as this is the deep cut, don't expect to see the likes of Dark Souls or Super Meat Boy because these are too obvious. Deep cuts only. So let's kick things off with number 8, Desert of the Undead. Now, sometimes when researching these videos, I come across games that make me say aloud, "Oh, that is delightfully devilish, Seymour." And I had such a steamed ham moment here when I came across Desert of the Undead, a game released in 2024 for the Nintendo Entertainment System itself. As after all, how can you be more old school with your difficulty than by being as old school as possible in general? Well, somehow Desert of the Undead actually manages to go harder than hard thanks to its included Mayhem mode, which sees you play through all of its 4 levels as you do in the vanilla experience, but here you are constantly moving as your character is now battling all of these zombies from the saddle of a motorbike. If you've not memorized every single enemy placement and platform, you are going to die and do so at speed, and it ramps up the challenge to utterly insane levels. Now, true, you do look like an 8-bit badass when you do manage to race through a level without taking a single hit, but oh boy, you're going to see that game over more than you have done the faces of your loved ones and families, because here they're also going to be saying, "Dude, why are you ugly crying?" It is that rough. Number 7, Blueprints. Quick question for you friends, what is the truest definition of old school gaming? What's that? The game of gambling with the plague by rubbing a Chaucerian rat over your face. No, what even is that? The real answer is when you have to bust out the pen and paper. I didn't bring either, so I'm just hoping that my editor has put a PNG of both in my hands. I'm bad at my job. This, my friends, is Blueprints, and put simply, this is a true gaming pleasure, something which feels satisfying to play and engage with, and relentlessly satisfying when you piece together the central mystery. And said mystery is that you need to explore a sprawling mansion filled with puzzles in order to find an elusive room. But the issue is that these rooms move around at night, changing the layout of your mansion entirely. Therefore, it's time to go back to basics and bust out the Bic alongside a pad of paper, because you're going to need to take some rather relentless notes in order to track specific paths and layouts. Soon, your notebook will look like the scrawlings of some utterly deranged architect, and phrases like "kitchen leads to library leads to flower pot?" will make sense to you and you alone. It also helps that Blueprints is so utterly enjoyable that you won't mind poring over your hasty scrawlings, but you will likely curse your own penmanship when you can't tell if you've written the answer to a puzzle or accidentally included a scrap of paper with a tiramisu recipe on it. Number 6, The Forever Winter. So let's get this straight right from the jump. I bloody love The Forever Winter, but it, and by extension the devs over at Fundog Studios, hate, and I mean hate, you. Because oh boy, this game is harder than hard when it's decided that it's just had enough of you trying to have a fun time. Here you play as a misfit a few rungs below being an absolute bottom feeder, and your goal is simple: survive the war that's raging between two other much better equipped factions, and for the love of Christ, stay out of their way. From robotic egg-headed soldiers to giant mechs and even fighter planes that carpet bomb areas with irradiated zombie-like enemies, you are fighting for your life every single second that you're out scavenging. And even when you're not collecting used bean tins to trade, you're running out of water that acts as a timer. And if that runs out, well, you're dead. And so are all the characters that you've made. Cheers. In fact, it was this last mechanic that sees Forever Winter put on this list, because up until the recent patch, this water timer would actually count down in real time outside of the game and kill all of your progress unless you logged in at regular intervals to scavenge for supplies. Thankfully, things are slightly more lenient now, but the game has definitely dialed things up in other areas, such as making certain resources more scarce in general, so it's very much a case of reluctantly giving with one hand and punching you in the with the other. Make no mistake, this game is so punishing, it's borderline cruel. Number 5. Jump King Quest. Wait, what? No, Jump King? I thought we were done with him. I thought we left that horror back in 2019. I thought we were done with falling from great heights only to have to start that climb to the top all over again. I thought we were done having to rage scream into my pillows. They've just regained their fluffy form. I'm not having it. But unfortunately, the king is back. And this time, he's not alone, because in Jump King Quest, well, it's all of the Fodian rage that you've come to know and loathe, but now has added multiplayer, combat, and a weird 3D aesthetic. Cool. I mean, yeah, it's actually a really fun twist on the formula, but I didn't think that anyone saw that coming. So what, I hear you cry, does this mean for our rage levels, which were already at have your doctor on speed dial levels? Well, with your friends now able to aid you in battle, you'd expect things to be easier. But because we can't have any nice things in our lives, Jump King Quest has you instead competing against your party by hitting each other back down into the pit in order to be the quick of the walk, alongside brutally challenging combat and those hyper-accurate jumps. So in short, this is an utter nightmare wrapped in a cluster migraine. If that ain't old school difficulty, I don't know what is. Number 4, necrofugitive. If there is one thing that old school video games absolutely nailed, it was the feeling that the whole world and their dog and their nan was against you at any given time, spawning in hundreds of enemies that would see you wear controllers and fingers down to the bone as you slammed buttons over and over again just to survive another millisecond. And if there's one upcoming game that looks to nail that feeling of, oh bloody hell, this isn't going very well, it's Necrofugitive, a game that seems to wear its challenge on its mutating sleeves as a badge of honor. Now in this game, you play as a cultist who absolutely bloody loves kissing eldritch beasties on the lips, and as such has been blessed with a set of powers that lets you mimic other humans, summon demons from the nether, and become a hulking monster of pure chaos and destruction. So surely, I can hear you thinking, with all of those amazing powers at your disposal, surely this game is going to be an utter cakewalk, right? Well, yes, this game is like a cakewalk, but only if the scones have razor blades and that Victoria sponge is actually made of cyanide, because this game is bloody relentless. You see, because you are the most hated person in the world, because you want to bring about its destruction, every single NPC wants you dead, and will relentlessly chase you through levels, calling for help and support from other knights, villagers, and demon hunters until you've got a literal battalion on your heels. And here's the kicker. They don't stop. You can run, but they will follow you from one side of the map to the other, drawing more and more attention in the process. And these lads, they can take a punch whilst dishing out potent amounts of pain. So if you think you can go toe-to-toe with them, think again. Therefore, things are going to be much easier with stealth, planning, and skin swapping to overcome the odds, making Necrofugitive kind of like prototype in 2D through the lens of Tenchu, and that to me sounds bloody brilliant. Number 3, Schism. Oh, sorry about this. It seems like my phone alarm is going off. Oh, it looks like it's, time for me to have a seizure because we're about to talk about Schism, and I will say this as a warning: prepare thy brain and thine eyes as you're about to look into hell itself. Enjoy! This is Schism, a bullet hell RPG in which you can switch your polarity, much like the all-time legendary franchise Ikaruga, in order to negate incoming damage. On top of this, you can customize your build, collect and modify countless weapons, and also make old-school RPG decisions on how to approach combat and overcome challenges. It is a smorgasbord of brilliant ideas all sewn together with a borderline insane difficulty setting, which requires you to be analysing the game board at all times and switching colours in order to survive against the relentless bullet hell waves of projectiles. If you wanted Binding of Isaac with shades of Undertale and a sprinkling of Dark Souls, plus an utterly banging soundtrack, then Schism is for you. Plus, there's a demo out for you to play right now. Number 2, Chantey. Okay friends, I won't lie to you. Yay! I'm including this next game, Chantey, not because it might be one of the hardest upcoming games of 2025, but because it might be one of the coolest retro crossovers I never knew I needed. Now I'm going to watch Tom's face as I read this out because I'm sure he's going to like this game too. Because Chantey is a pirate RPG and a pirate metal rhythm game. Oh yeah, and by the way, it's been built from the ground up for the Game Boy Color. Released in 2025, Chantey allows you to sail the pixelated oceans blue as an up-and-coming pirate, and alongside building a crew and running from Delore, you engage in Guitar Hero-esque battles to chiptune metal renditions of old-school sea shanties. I mean, who the hell thinks this stuff up? Well, the answer is actually developer Gorton Code, and I'm so bloody happy that they did, because this is riotous stuff right here. The chiptunes are fried to a golden crisp. The gameplay is very reminiscent of old-school RPGs and even Pokemon thanks to its cute-as-a-button aesthetics. And of course, that sudden shift to heavy metal Battle of the Bands is just so delightfully silly that it makes Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii look like an accountant for the colour beige by comparison. Plus, with that tiny little screen and notes falling in fast and power-ups that change the way the battles play out on offer, I'd wager that there is more than enough challenge for you salty sea dogs out there. And number 1, Mullet Madjack. If there is one all-time defining moment of my early gaming years, it was the almost comedic levels of frustration I felt when trying to complete the dam level from TMNT for the Nayers. With its tight time constraints, cruel placement of electric gates, and poisonous seaweed, I died to this level over and over and over again. So much so that I had to get my dad in to beat it for me. And when he couldn't do this immediately, I got to see a grown man visibly upset, which has haunted me to this very day. Childhood trauma aside though, there is another game looking to replicate these tenets of old school cruelty, namely time constraints and pixel perfect precision, but does so in a brand new fashion thanks to all of this being fired through the barrel of a first person shooter. Mullet Madjack is a relentless adrenaline rush where your health and your timer are tied together, and you can only pump up both by killing enemies in quick and stylish ways. Drenched in blood and neon palettes, this is a visual and stimulus overload, but one that you'll be drawn back to again and again, seeing as each level, in theory at least, only takes a minute or two to beat. It's got that one more go gameplay loop that so many titles of the past hooked us in with, but now comes alongside action that is so slick that you'd comedy pratfall on it on the way back to your car at night. This is old school and cool in equal measure, plus has a silly name, so obviously I love it. And there we go, my friends. Those were 8 new games with old school difficulty. I hope that you enjoyed that, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on my social medias where I'm at Blue Sky, where it's at RetroJ, but the O is a 0, and you can follow my ever-patient editor Mark over here on his social medias as well. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Even though we spoke today about new games with old school difficulties, there is something that I want you to try that may not be new, but should definitely be implemented every single day. And that is to be kind to yourself, because you deserve the bloody best, you massive ledge. Don't let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise. I want you to go out there and smash your life goals today like you were Mullet Madjack. Maybe not as violently, but equally as passionately as that. Take care of yourself, my friends, because you deserve the best. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that. I'll speak to you soon. Oh, and also, watch out for the quiz that are coming soon. Quiz that we filmed here. Mystery project. See ya.